Welcome back to another episode of Unstuck Career and Happy New Year. This is our New Year's episode, and this is, I referenced last week that we were going to do this. This is a way that you can kick off 2026, especially as you combine it with what we did last week, with those 6 questions to do your reset. You're going to reset your focus, your direction, your life for 2026 so that you can have exactly, so that you can create exactly what you want to create for this upcoming year. This is the process that I've used for the last 2 years. It is something that's been incredibly powerful for me, and it has been a way for me to shift, nudge my identity in ways that has been really meaningful. So to start this out, I am not telling you that you have to do anything. I'm not telling you that you should do anything. This is for you to do to make changes that you're ready to make. If you're not ready to make, this is not going to work. It's not going to be meaningful. It's not going to be impactful. It's not going to be important. So, for anything that you're ready to change, I got to the point a couple of years ago where I was done. I was done with that. A lot of years of being in the passenger seat of my life. I was ready to start driving my own life. And I have been, it's an iterative process, at least it has been for me. I've been improving consistently and constantly to the point where I am today. And I continue to expect to improve, to move forward towards that version of me that I know I can be and that is going to allow me to be, to do, and to have everything that I'm wanting and that I'm worthy of in this life. So to set this up, this is not something that's mine. I got this from my coach. His name is David Nagel. Has been incredibly impactful, and it's something that has been, like I said, really formative in the direction that I've come in the last 2 years. And there are some assumptions that we're going to start with. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time defending these assumptions. I'm just going to tell you these are assumptions, these are not facts. And a couple of them I will hit, but most of them, I just am going to ask that you trust that these are assumptions, these are not facts, these are illusions. These are 12 illusions that we have been told our whole lives that exist. I will go through them and then I'll come back to, I'll give you the list and then I'll tell you why some of them, because I'm not going to take the time right now. That's not the purpose of what we're doing here. I just want to open up the possibility for you in your mind that these are illusions. These are not things that we have to continue to believe. Number one, these are 12 illusions that we all pretty universally live, just agreeing that these are true. Number one, need exists. Number two, failure exists. Number three, disunity exists. Number four, insufficiency exists. Number five, requirement exists. Number six, judgment exists. Number seven, condemnation exists. Number eight, superiority exists. Is that number nine? I think that's number eight. Number eight is conditionality exists. I think I missed one. So number eight, conditionality exists. Number nine is superiority exists. Number 10, ignorance exists. Number 11, shame exists. And number 12, guilt exists. And I'm not talking about how it exists or how my challenge, my assertion is that these things do not exist. These are illusions. These are things we have just assumed our whole lives exist, and we have lived our lives working around the fact that there are things that we need or that we need to do, that there is such a thing as failure, or that there's such a thing as insufficiency, that this idea that there's not enough is a false idea. The idea that condemnation exists. People are canceled only because they agree that they're canceled. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time defending these, but there are a couple that I'm going to hit on. Ignorance exists, that shame exists, guilt exists. I did not explicitly mention embarrassment, but that's connected to shame. Embarrassment doesn't exist except for in your own head. If, and as an example, if you are walking down the street, crossing the street, and there's a curb, and you stumble and you fall, and you look around and there's nobody around, you probably don't feel embarrassed because nobody saw your misstep. Embarrassment only exists in your mind. It only exists when there are other people that we think might think something about us, which usually ties to I made a mistake, I did something wrong, I am not perfect, I my image is tarnished in some way. It only exists in our head. It only exists because of the story that we tell ourselves. Need exists. I'm trying to decide how dark I want to go on this. There is, well, I'll go a little bit dark. A couple of years ago, coming up, almost 2 years ago now, my father-in-law passed away. And because we live closer than anybody else in the family, and my wife is the oldest, she's the one who was tasked with taking care of everything, including he had bills and things that needed to be paid. And one of the things that I found really interesting was, and this is not legal advice in any way, but as I would make phone calls to credit card companies saying, hey, by the way, this person is deceased, that bill was in most cases completely forgiven. The the need that we feel to pay our bills is just made up. It doesn't exist in reality. We have an agreement, and I'm not saying that there are no consequences, but I am saying that we have an agreement that we feel like we need to do things. Failure. This is the last one, and then I'm going to get into the actual process that I referenced that's going to actually be a kind of a pivot point for our identity shift into 2026. Failure. Failure does not exist. There's no such thing as failure. Think about, because I know that there's this maybe a visceral reaction that no, there's a winner, there's a loser, there are people who succeed, there are people who fail. That's only because of the rules that you've decided to play by. If you decide to play by different rules, then failure doesn't exist. Here's an example. I made a cake. I make a lot of cakes. I've made thousands of cakes. And this is not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, I made cakes and I forgot to set the timer. So put the cakes in the oven. I come over to my desk. I'm on a phone call and get wrapped up. It's an hour-long call. Cakes don't take an hour to bake, so an hour passes and I finish the call, go to the kitchen, and I smell cakes in the oven. They're not burnt yet, but they're very done. And so it would be really easy for me to categorize that as a failure. And yeah, I can understand that, but failure really doesn't exist. It's a lesson. I learned something. I learned number one, what happens. They become very brick-like if you bake a cake for an hour. It was still edible. I'm assuming it wasn't completely solid, but I didn't have any interest in eating a brick-like cake. But it was a lesson. So now I learned that putting the cakes in the oven right before an hour-long call is not a good idea, especially if I don't set the timer. I've done other cakes. Not all of my lessons are from cakes, but I've made other cakes where I forget to put the baking soda into the batter. Baking soda is what makes the cake rise makes it fluffy. So it was very dense, very thick. And it, my initial thought was, that's a failure. I failed in these cakes because I'm not doing just one cake. These are the cake pans that I pass out. And so it's a dozen or more cakes that I quote failed at. But my wife has taken those. She cuts them up and she calls them emergency cake, and she puts them in little brownie bite type things in ice cream and that sort of thing. It's a lesson. So if I want to have a fluffy cake, then I need to make sure that I put the baking soda in, and I've changed some processes so that I make sure that I remember that on a regular basis. Failure doesn't exist. It's just a lesson. And I'm going to give you one more example to maybe reinforce the idea that failure doesn't exist. Imagine I'm sure you've had this kind of experience, maybe not this exact experience, but something close. Imagine that you are hungry and you decide you want to go grab a sandwich. So you hop in the car, you go out, and the road is closed. Maybe there's an accident, maybe there's um, construction, and there's some reason that there's a detour. And so the direction that you were going to go to get your sandwich or whatever is now closed. You have to go a different direction. Now that technically, that's a failure. You failed at going your decided, intended way to get a sandwich. Now, if you quit, if you gave up, yeah, I can see that that would be considered a failure. But on the other hand, you probably didn't do that. You probably backtracked and you found an alternate route. And especially when there's construction, companies will do a great job. Road construction companies will do a great job of putting up detour signs and mapping that alternate route out. But even if you don't have that mapped out for you, you can figure it out, or you can use a GPS or other tools that will help you make an alternate route to ultimately succeed at whatever it is that you set your mind to. So that, again, I'm not going to get into any more of those 12 agreements, those illusions. These are agreements that we just kind of operate our lives with. Here's how we're going to use that at least maybe new knowledge, new awareness that those things don't exist. They're illusions to set ourselves up for an amazing 2026. So here's what I want you to do. This will work really well anytime you do it. It does not have to be connected to a new year, but the new year is a great time to do this. We're a couple days before New Year's Eve if you're watching this live. And if you're watching replay, if you're watching the video that's archived on YouTube, or if you're listening to the podcast feed, you can do this anytime, but it will work really well. The process that I like to use is I start this on New Year's Eve and I finish it around midnight on New Year's Day. What we're going to do, again, this is going back to things that you want to change, things that you're ready to change. We're going to create the life that we want, the identity that we want on purpose. And the foundation, the assumption that we're going to make is that we are going to create the life that we want on purpose rather than just letting it happen. The randomness of life, it doesn't have to be the way that we live. We can create exactly what we want. So what we're going to do is take a list of things that we're ready to change. Now, if we look at what we did last week, what we talked about last week, if you look at your weaknesses or your failures, if you look at your lessons, these are some things, if you're ready to let them go, it will tie in. You will have kind of a jump start into this whole process. So on a piece of paper, for me, I like this is what I used last year. And on one page, I'm just going to make a list of everything that I'm ready to forgive, everything that I'm ready to let go. And it may look like things like I'm ready to let go of being afraid. I'm ready to let go or forgive being irritated, being upset, having a short temper. And there are three categories of things to consider as you make this list. Things that you want to be, or things that you're tired of being, you're done being, doing, and having. If there's a habit that you're ready to let go of, maybe the habit is overeating, or maybe the habit is something more destructive like gambling or smoking or something like that, some kind of habit that you're doing because of how you think it's going to make you feel or how you want to feel. And things that you want to have, or things that you're ready to let go of having. If you have a cluttered area, maybe there's things, physical, tangible objects that you're ready to let go of and donate or delete them from your life. So just brainstorm over the course of the day. It does not have to be done in one sitting. I have done this in one sitting. I've also done it over the course of a handful of days. And just make a list of everything that you're ready to release, everything you're ready to forgive, everything you're ready to change, everything you're ready to let go of. Now, in addition to being ready to release and let go of and forgive, we're going to turn to gratitude. These were lessons. These things, we can't change them, and they've served a purpose. The purpose was positive. The purpose helped us recognize things that we want to be, do, or have that are different. These are things that we're shifting away from to move into the next version, the better version, the thing that will be the foundation for our next level. So make that list. And again, just like last week, I'm not going to take time. I'm not going to pause right here in the video so that you can do that. But do that. Spend some time. Be really thoughtful and introspective. What is it that you're ready to let go? There may be things that are destructive or that are not constructive that you're not ready to let go of. And that's okay. We're not going to rush it, but there are things that you're ready to let go of. And we're going to just make that list. And again, these are things that we're going to be grateful that we've had in our lives because they taught us what we want to shift away from and into. One of the things early in my, even before I was married life, I learned a lot from things my parents did or didn't do, things that I saw other couples do or not do that helped me learn what I wanted to do or not do in my own relationship. And so these are not bad, they're not negative. Again, remember, failure doesn't exist, judgment doesn't exist, condemnation doesn't exist. These are just lessons. So spend some time doing that. Then you're going to take those things and create a list of the opposite. This is everything you want to be, everything you want to do, everything you want to have moving into 2026. The reason this is powerful is because your subconscious cannot tell the difference between something that's real, tangible, actual reality, and something that's imagined. So this process is going to start us imagining something that doesn't exist yet, but something that we want to be, do, or have. So if fear is something that I'm ready to release, we can't just let it go. We have to replace it with something. We have to find something, probably the opposite, or something that's at least something more positive. And you're going to make a different list. These are on different pieces of paper, by the way. So new piece of paper, you can go side by side and line by line. If I'm tired of, ready to let go of fear controlling my life and my decisions, then I need something to replace that. And so I'm going to have a different thing that's going to control my life. I'm going to let maybe courage control my life. If I have physical clutter, and this again, same exact thing, things that we want to be, do, or have, things that we want to do, have, be on purpose for the upcoming year. So if there are things that I want to have, then or things that I want to get rid of, then we need to replace those things with something, whether that's a a tangible object or the absence of a tangible object. So so we're going to create a list of what we want to move into. And this is the identity shift. So if I'm tired of letting fear dictate my decisions, then I'm going to move into letting courage, as an example, dictate my decisions. Make that list. And as you make that list, I want you to write those things that you want to be, do, or have in the present tense and with gratitude. So, for example, I'm so happy and grateful that courage informs my decisions and my actions on a daily basis. It could be um, if overeating is something that you want to let go of, you have to replace it with something positive. It's not just the absence of overeating. And so it might be something like, I'm so happy and grateful that I stop eating before I'm full, or that I eat with the purpose of fueling my body rather than being motivated by the need to finish everything on my plate or whatever. All these stories that we that informed our behaviors from maybe our formative years. And so these are going to be the way that you want to be, the things you want to do, or the things that you want to have during 2026. So once that's done, you have your list. It's going to be probably a pretty equal match. These are the things now that I want to become. This is my identity for 2026. Now, this is a little bit symbolic. And again, does not have to go this way, but if it does, fantastic. It is a great ritual that I found a lot of meaning in. At about midnight, New Year's Eve, take that list, the things that you're going to forgive, and destroy it. If you're ready to forgive it, if you're ready to let it go, then do something metaphorically to remove it from existence. There was 1 year, 2 years ago, I was in the airport. I was in the Denver airport and I took that list and I shredded it. I tore it into tiny pieces and I split it into, I think, 4 different piles, mixed them all up. And one pile went into one trash can in the Denver airport, another pile into another trash can, which nobody's going to be digging through the trash to put this back together. But I did it for me so that there was, I was spreading this out. There was no way that it was going to be able to be reassembled. I was letting those things go permanently out of my life. And then at midnight, or as close to midnight as you can, take that new list and read it. And this is something that you'll do every day, at least once a day. Read through it. And you're going to read the statements in the positive as an identity statement. I stop eating before I'm full. I go through your whole list. I let courage inform my choices. Whatever it is, everything that you are letting go, it's now figuratively and literally destroyed. Last year, I burned it. It was great. I just set fire to it. It was gone. Could not be reassembled. And then every day, I take my list. This is my actual list, and I read through it every single day, at least once. And the thing that's really fascinating is over the course of the year, it becomes really a mantra, it's an identity shift. And this is something, like I said, doesn't have to be only at the year end and the start of a new year, but it's a great time to have that shift. There's one other thing that I was going to talk about with it, and I'm trying to remember if I've covered it. The I think that the last thing that I want to say is that this is, as a reminder, this is a way that you and I can decide how we want to live our life. how we want our life to be. We're not going to just let things happen. We're not in the passenger seat of our life anymore. We're driving. And the final thing that I was going to mention is that this is for you. This is a list for you. It's not for anybody else. So you can be as raw, as open, as honest as you can, because nobody else is going to see it unless you decide to share it. But that's not the point. This is not for anybody else, really. This is for you to start to shift into the version of you that is going to move you towards that list of goals, the your wins that you're going to put on your your list for the upcoming year. Do this if you'll do it, and not just, it's not a thought experiment. This is an actual tactical process that if you do it, it will change. Ultimately, it will change everything, because when you change, everything around you changes. Have a great new year. I will see you in 2026. Thanks for listening.